everybody, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Now today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet our stripes hot pad or pot holder. This one is made with 3 different colors of 100% cotton yarn, and it's a super thick one because you make a front and a back and then we stitch them together. It has this fun texture that's created by doing front and back posts on the same stitch. It's a great hot pad. You can change the colors. You can use striping yarns, variegateds, or just whatever you have in your yarn stash and come up with some really nice hot pads that are pretty and useful. It measures about 8 by 8 inches. So it's the perfect size to set a pot on or maybe to grab something out of the oven because it's super safe because of the 2 thicknesses that we're going to make. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog, and as always I'll put that link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our stripes hot pad, you're going to need about 2 ounces of a 100% cotton yarn or a cotton blend. It's real important that you use a cotton or a yarn that's not going to burn if it gets hot or if a hot pot or casserole is pulled out of the oven and set on it. We don't want it to burn, and so I suggest using cottons. I've got a couple of examples today. There's Crafter's Secret. I love this cotton. There's Sugar and Cream. There's also Peaches and Cream, Premier cottons. There's lots of cottons that you can use for this project. And in order to complete one hot pad with the front and back and the trim, you're going to need a total of about 2 ounces. Now on this one I used solids. These are all Peaches and Cream. And I used solids and changed colors. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be using this Sugar and Cream stripes. It's called Natural Stripes, and I like the colors of it. I thought it would be nice for Thanksgiving or fall colors. You can use variegated. Here's another variegated that has some fall colors in it. You can use different colors, like this one has a patriotic theme. There's Christmas, holiday, and again, you don't even have to make the stripes. You could do it all in one color if you want to. I changed colors every 3 here, and you don't have to do that. And if you use a striping cotton, you don't have to change colors either. And so I'm going to be using this one. I think it's pretty. And again, you need 2 ounces of your favorite cotton yarns. And another thing you can do is just get in that stash of cotton yarns you have left over from other projects and stripe it or not and do whatever fun that you want to make these pot holders. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, which is a 5mm crochet hook. You need your scissors, and then you need a needle for weaving in those ends. So I'm going to be using this Sugar and Cream, which is called the Natural Stripes, for today's demonstration. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 25 chains. Now I do recommend that you don't chain this too tightly because you don't want the bottom of your square to pucker in a little bit. You want it to lay nice and flat. Alright, so I'm going to chain 25 chains a little bit loose. I've chained my 25 chains just a little bit loose. And we're going to begin by stitching a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through your first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through your second 2 loops. Now this chain 3 at the beginning that we skipped will count as our first double crochet, and then we double crocheted again. And now we're going to place 1, double crochet in each of the chains, working all the way across. Looks like I got a string there. There we go. One double crochet in each of the chains, working all the way across our chain. I've stitched one double crochet in each of the chains across, and because we started in the 4th chain from the hook and that chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, we have 23 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 3 and turn. Now for row 2 and for every row, this chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. Then we'll double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to stitch what's called a front post double crochet. We normally do our double crochet in the top of the stitch, but we're going to stitch around this portion, which is called the post of the stitch. So yarn over, we're going to go around that post and stitch our double crochet. We're still stitching a double crochet, we're just putting it in a different place. And so the repeat across is 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet in the next. 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and front post double crochet in the next. And we'll repeat this all the way across. I've repeated all the way across 2 regular double crochets, front post double crochet. Here's my last front post, and then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in those last 2 stitches. And that last stitch, remember, is that chain 3 that counts as a double crochet. Chain 3, and you can see before we turn, we have 2 double crochets, front post, and then we repeat it all the way across and end with 2 double crochets. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 front posts, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 double crochets, which equals 23 stitches. All right, let's turn our work. And now we're going to be doing back post because our front posts are now on the back side of our work. All right, so our chain 3 again counts as our first double crochet, and then we'll double crochet in the next stitch. Now to stitch our back post, we're going to yarn over, we're going to stitch around that front post from the previous stitch and stitch a double crochet. And that's our repeat across for row 3. 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then back post double crochet around that front post from the previous row. All right, let's do one more. 1 double crochet in the next 2, and back post double crochet around that front post from the previous row. There we go. All right, let's take a look at it real quick. This is how it looks in the back. When we turn it over, you can see we stitch those back posts in the front post stitches. All right, now this portion probably will take a little more practice, but it's really not hard. Again, we're still doing double crochets. We're just putting them in different places. So there's my 2 regular double crochets, and now I'm going to back post double crochet around the front post of the previous stitch. There we go. 1 double crochet in the next 2, and back post double crochet again around that front post from the previous row. There's the back, there's the front. So I've repeated that all the way across. 2 double crochets and then back post in the front post. Then we'll double crochet in those last 2 stitches. And chain 3. And turn. And so now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 back post stitches and 16 double crochets. Your stitch count will remain the same. You'll have 23 stitches on every row. Some of them will be back post, some of them will be front post, depending on whether you're working on the front of your work or the back of your work. All right, let's do row 4. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. Then we'll double crochet in the next stitch. Then we'll front post in the next stitch because we're working on the front side of our work. 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1, 2, and then front post double crochet in the next. And now it's easy because we can easily find those front post stitches. 1 double crochet in the next 2, and front post double crochet in the next. And we'll do this working all the way across, and then double crochet in the last 2, chain 3, and turn. I repeated across, 1 double crochet in the next 2, front post in the front post. We'll double crochet in the last 2 double crochets, and chain 3. Now we're going to turn, and for row 5 we're going to repeat what we did down here with the back post stitches. So our chain 3 counts as our first, and we'll double crochet in the next, and then back post around that front post from the previous row. And sometimes if you turn your hook a little bit, let me show you this, you're going to go around, you kind of grab it and sort of give it a little bit of a twist, and that will help you not lose that loop. So 1 double crochet in the next 2, and then back post around. See, I'm going to kind of twist it around to get it through there. There we go. You're not really twisting it, you're kind of turning it just a little. It helps you not lose that loop when you're stitching that back loop. So there's my 2 double crochets, yarn over, go around that front post stitch, and stitch our double crochet. And again, you'll see on the front that our back post is placed in the same stitch as our front posts. All right, and so we'll repeat this across, 2 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 2, back post, and repeat all the way across for row 5. I've completed row 5, stitching 2 double crochets, back post in the next. We finished with 2 double crochets, chain 3, and turn. And you know you're doing it correctly if all your back posts and front posts are in a nice line for the texture on your hot pad. You see that? I turned it a little, maybe you can see the angle there. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat row 4 and row 5 for 7 more rows alternating the front post and the back post every other row. And that'll bring you up to row 12. So we're going to continue to repeat row 4 and row 5, alternating every other row for 7 more rows. So I have completed those additional 7 rows, so that gives me 12 rows. How to count that is to look in here and count your rows, because sometimes when you try to count those front post and back post stitches, it can throw you off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You need 12 rows, and I really kind of like the way this one turned out. Kind of reminds me of a Neapolitan ice cream in kind of beige colors. Anyway, once you get one of these done, you're going to need to make a second one. All right, so I already have a second one all ready to go here. And this one also has 12 rows, and it's all ready to go. So you're going to make 2. The first one, go ahead and tie off your ends, and we'll have to take a minute and weave those in. On the second one, you want to go ahead and leave your yarn attached, because we're going to put these together and stitch them together. Before we do that, we need to take a second and grab our needle and weave that in, because we don't want those to be in our way. Sometimes when you're weaving in with cotton, it can be a little bit of a struggle to get it on your needle. All right, so I sort of fan out the end, lay my needle across it, and flatten it over. That makes it a little bit easier to get in the needle. Now this is our front, so we want to weave it in to the back. And I'm just going to go through some of those stitches. It's a little bit difficult with cotton sometimes to get through the fibers, but just go ahead, weave both the ends in on this one and the extra end in on this one. So I've tidied it all up. I weaved in these 2 ends and this one, and of course we're going to leave this one because we're going to stitch the 2 together with this end. We want to stitch it together with the right sides facing out. So we're going to line it up, the inside on the inside and the outsides with our ridges facing out. All right, and now we're going to stitch it together. We want to make sure that the loop that's attached is on the back side of where we're working. We have our fronts facing out, and so now we're going to go in the first stitch here and the first stitch here. We're going to grab that loop onto our hook and pull that through. And we'll just make a little chain 1 to bring this up to the top. And now we're going to go through the first loop here and the first loop here and stitch single crochets. And we'll do this all the way across, stitching the front and the back together. Again, our right sides are facing out, and that's the sides with the ridges. And we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets across the top, stitching the front to the back all the way across. I've single crocheted across, stitching the front and back together. Remember, our right sides are facing out, and that's the sides with the bumps on them, or the ridges. And now we're to this first corner, and you want to place 3 single crochets in that corner. And that's just going to help it move smoothly around the corner for a nice edge on our hot pad or pot holder. This brings us to our edge, and we want to evenly single crochet down the side, stitching them together. And so you're just going to go in the sides of those stitches, and some of them might be snug like that one, and that's okay. It's better to go in the sides of those stitches than in the holes, but there might be places where you need to go in a hole. And also, there's not a set amount of stitches that you need to have. You just need to line it up There we go. Make sure it's nice and even. Let's hold it snug on that side. Alrighty. There we go. I guess I'd rather it be too snug than a little bit too loose. Alright, so like I said, no set number of stitches. You're just going to evenly single crochet down the side, making sure you don't put too many together or too far apart. You don't want gaping holes and you don't want it all puckered up. And so you can see I'm just working down the side, stitching the front to the back, trying to go in the sides of the stitches and stitching single crochets. And you can watch it as you go. If you feel like your stitches are too far apart, you can put them closer together. If you feel like they're all bunched up, you can spread them out. The main thing is you just want to make sure that you keep everything even with your corner. And then we'll continue working down this side, and again we'll stitch 3 single crochets in this corner. So I continue to stitch evenly single crochets down the side of my hot pad, which brings me to the next corner. And again, I want to stitch 3 single crochets. So there's 2 and 3. And now, because we're at the bottom where we started our chain, we can stitch those stitches right in those chain stitches. This side and this side, stitching single crochets all the way across. And again, the most important thing is that our stitches aren't bunched and they're not too far apart, and that we keep the bottoms nice and neat and evenly together. All right, we don't want to like pull this up and have a bump, or pull this one up or pull. You just want to make sure it's nice and even and lays pretty. So we're going to single crochet evenly across the bottom. We're going to stitch 3 single crochets in this corner, like we did over here and at this other corner. And then we'll evenly single crochet up the side like we did on this side. And then we'll join back to our first single crochet. And then I'll show you how to add that loop so you can hang it up. I stitched across the bottom, 3 single crochets in the corner. Then I evenly stitched up the side. Again, I'm stitching my back and front together. All right, then I stitched 3 single crochets in that last corner, and I'm going to join to that first single crochet. And now I'm going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And now I'm going to join. I'm going to turn it so that I can join to that single crochet with a slip stitch and cut my yarn. And we'll tie that off, and of course we will have to weave that in, but that's a hanger so we can hang it up. There we go. And now I'm going to weave this in, and I want to make sure I weave this one in securely because we want to be able to hang up this hot pad so we can get to it as quick as possible. When something's hot and ready to come off the stove, we need to get to our hot pads or pot holders. Alrighty, clip that off, and now my pot holder has a loop I can hang it up with, and it's all ready to be used. And that's how easy it is to make our stripes pot holder. You can use a striping yarn, or you can stripe it as you want to. Get in your yarn stash and make some fun stripes pot holders.